that's not YouTube. Where's YouTube Studio? There we go. There we go. Okay, I think we're good. So yeah, so I'll just leave that there for now for people that are signing in, and then hopefully this should be connected. So yeah, without further ado, the chat's probably going to be a little bit confused, but that should be good. Okay, so welcome everyone. Hope everyone had a good spring break and is enjoying themselves. Oh, we have another visitor. Hey, Alec, how's everything?
Doing well.
You been good?
Yeah, I've been lifting arms and legs.
That's good. You've been working out arms and legs, you say?
Yeah.
That's good. Getting jacked. I need to do that myself. Been slacking on that a little bit. Glad you could make it. And yeah.
I'm laughing, so I'm like,
That's good. So yeah, so what we're doing today, so it's not going to be super lecture heavy today, so I just have that up for those that are joining us virtually. But what we'll be doing today, we'll be working with, as you may have seen in the announcement, APIs, okay? So some of you, yes. So some of you may have had experience with APIs before. Maybe some of you are, what even is that? It might be some kind of programming myth, and you might not be sure what it is. But don't worry, we'll demystify all of those myths today and turn them into reality. So we'll first go into a little bit, explain what exactly APIs are and how you can use them. And then we'll go into the actual implementation of them. And we'll be creating our very own app this time around. So again, if you haven't already, please sign in. That lets us know who is attending and who is not. As when we accumulate points at the end of the semester, you all can benefit. And yeah, let's get. Yeah, please, yes, that's open for you. So actually, I wonder how this is. No, we don't want to open that. I wonder how I'm looking there. Yeah, actually, let me adjust the stream for now. It doesn't have to be super like that. Sorry, give me 1 second. I'm a little bit of a noob at this. I think it's the video capture. There we go. Yep, cool. So what we're going to do. So first is going to be very textbook kind of like, but it'll make sense. Okay, so Professor Ali is speaking here. So first we're going to go into, let's see this here for now. API. Okay. Does anyone off the top of their head know what this stands for? Anyone want to take a guess? Wow. Yes, exactly. So that was the perfect guess. I don't even want to say that was a good guess. So that's exactly what it means. So application. Yeah, exactly. It's an application programming interface. So essentially, what this allows you to do is that, so when you hear people say that they have an API for their company, or they have they have an API set up. There's APIs for all sorts of companies, ranging from all the way from Google, ranging all the way to Amazon, ranging to Instagram, Twitter, all popular companies, to maybe some companies that you might not even know of, to not even just companies, to local governments. There's thousands of APIs out there. And what they allow for you to do is to basically consume data. Oh, I just realized how this looks. Well, I guess, yeah, those that are here, we'll just see this for now. But yeah, so That's essentially, right? So it basically allows for you to consume data and allows for you to manipulate data for whatever use that you need. Some APIs are free. So if, say if you want to use an API, it kind of depends on a couple factors. It depends on whether if it's public or whether if it's private. Companies might have their own internal API to use that their companies will use to generate their own endpoints that they could work with. There also might be public APIs. So, and an API at the end of the day, how we see it from our end, is essentially going to look like a URL. So when you type in google.com, https google.com/, that is a URL. Uniform resource loader. I think. Don't quote me on that. But that allows for you, depending on whatever company it is, allows for you to look into that, and it allows for you to access the data at that specific point. So, yeah. So with that, there is a couple of things that you could do with an API. The most common that you will see when it comes to an API is this term, which is very similar. Well, actually, it's like these two are the most popular that you will use. And there's others, but we'll just focus on these for now. Right. Get and post. So these are the most common that you'll see, and today we'll only be working with one. But essentially, if you think of you interacting with a company, or you're interacting with an API, say that this is a user, and say that this is the API. The user will just be us, right? We're on our computers and we are typing it into our URL to get some information that we want to get back. Say we're going into Google and we want like an image. We will be going into Google's database, which is here, which will be here, and we'll be accessing through their API. So if we want that, how that information, so say we make the request first. So this is for a GET request. We make the request, and usually there's different codes. I believe, if you make a request, what the API will give you back most likely will be the response will be the information plus probably something called a status code. And there are different codes that exist out there, like 200 for OK, meaning that you have received the information. And then there's also 400, which means like it didn't go through successfully, essentially.
Error on your side.
What happened?
Error on your side. Like you caused the error. Like
yes, exactly. You mistyped it. You didn't. Yeah. So then you have to change it. Exactly. Exactly. Oh, I realized I might have been blocking the screen for some other people, but hopefully you all can see it. And yeah, so this is how it will look like. So you get for GET request. Yeah, I think that's a little bit better. So you make the request, and what you get in return is the data and the status code, right? So that's one of them, right? So that's how a GET request is. So you ask them, hey, can I get this? And the database will go into it, and first we'll check if if the link at that specific, whatever the link is, if it's valid and they have information that you can access, because sometimes they do have a link there, but you might have to have some kind of like access or access in the terms of either you have to be on their company network, or most commonly, if you're not a part of their company, you'll have to use something called an API key, which we're not going to do today because that takes like sign up. But some APIs require for you to sign up first on their website to get a key, and sometimes it's not, you don't even have to pay, it's free. But they're required for you to sign up so that you can get access to their database or to their API. And a common one of that is Twitter, because you are required to sign up for their API, and it's free. I've used it before. But then, yeah, you need to get that key, and then you probably, so you can get access. So that's a GET request. And a POST is kind of, it's something a little different. So with a POST request, we have the same, we have the user, and we have the API. And now when I say API, usually what that means is that, so we have a specific link, but what that's checking is within its database. Because databases, they store all of the information that we could possibly want to access.
Oh my god, bad memories.
Yeah, traumatizing memories of database management. I don't even want to think about that. Yeah, but yeah, exactly. The data is usually stored in a database, and it will return the information for you. But in this case, say you have some sort of information, and say you're building a Twitter clone application, right? Well, we probably have to do.
What to do right now?
Oh, you're doing that right now?
Yeah, go back.
Oh, nice. So exactly, taking what they're doing in CodePath, they're building a Twitter application, right? In order for them, say if they want to build the main page of Twitter, what they would, and they say they want to make a new tweet. If they want that tweet to be added to their list that shows up on their Twitter homepage, they want to do a GET request, because that's their getting information. They want to access it and then do whatever they want to manipulate it. But if they want to put that back onto Twitter's website, they're going to do what's called the POST request. So basically, you will send over, instead of, you see the data is coming back here, you are sending the data here. And what you will get in response is the status code, telling you if it was okay or not. Yeah, that's a little bit of how it works in a very theoretical sense. Does this make sense to everyone? Does anyone have any questions? If not, then cool. So getting in with, so now we've covered very, very overview. Let's start looking at it on a realistic, way. Let's show you, everyone, how we will use it in the real world, right? And then we'll get to the coding stage. This is my thing. Okay. So first, let me move this back down a little bit, and then. Is that correct? It should be. Yeah, that is correct. Okay. So something. Okay. So let's take a look at what an API can look like. All right. Let's move that like that. Okay. Cool. And also, let me do one thing. Let me, let's see. I wonder if this can, if I get some music in here. A little bit. Can't hear that. There we go. Is there any kind of music you guys want to listen to? Like hacker music, hacking into the mainframe music or anything. If y'all want, can. Otherwise, we'll leave this like that. Okay. So right now, what we're going to do, I'll show you something important, right? So. You say, I've shown you all what an API is, right? So you all might be wondering, hey, cool, that's nice, but where can I get started with an API? So I'm glad I asked myself that question. So if you all want to get started, if you have a specific API in mind, cool, right? You can work with that company's API and their documentation. But otherwise, if you want to just get started, what I would recommend is looking up GitHub APIs. So there is actually a list of free APIs online that you can use that are categorized in the categories and sections.
Oh, really?
Is that charging? Yeah. Is it not charging? Well, my computer's not charging, but it should be fine.
That's not good.
Yeah, we're just gonna have to speed run a little bit, but I'm at 68%. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. So we have our. Let me also just check. Okay. Currently don't have any viewer. Okay. I'll open up the chat on my phone if anyone has any questions. Please feel free to ask me. But yes, so there is this GitHub site. It's called Public APIs, and if you want to test out some free APIs out there, there is nice, there are public APIs out there that are, that you can use, and there are literally hundreds of APIs here. Like I haven't even gone down to half of this list, and I've just been scrolling and scrolling. And they're all popular companies, and there are some not so known companies. You see, I've started it myself. I definitely recommend checking it out. And if this is something you're interested in. And let's take one of these, for example, and I'll show you how you can navigate through an API. So an API I am unfortunately familiar with is Anime API. I've seen a couple of these. Gcon is what I'm familiar with, so let's open that up. Okay, and if y'all were here last semester, we also did an API API workshop. Oh yeah, yes, kind of degenerate, but yeah. So we did the same API last semester, but we're going to do a different one today. But essentially, so say you've reached onto this page. How can I navigate this? How do I know what to do? So let's look here. So we could look into, this says docs over here. So okay, so we start looking at them. They say, okay, so we say they have something called rate limits. So a rate limit is essentially how many requests you can make, or requests meaning how many times you could send, you could press enter when you send a URL to that specific website. And some of them aren't rate limited, but some of them are. So you have to be mindful of that. If your API is not returning you anything, if you've submitted too many times, it possibly won't work for you. So you might have to get like another account or something. That could happen. But as you see, so this has, per second, you can only make 3 requests. Well, only, I mean, it's per second. And then per minute, you can make 60 requests. If you, in 1 minute, you just keep spamming that button, your enter button for a request. If you make 61 within a minute, you will get an error, probably a 400 error, or I'm not sure what type of error. You'll get an error saying that it's rate limited, or you won't be able to access the API. So that's something to take a note of. That's something important. And JSON. Okay, this is especially important. So I've mentioned that you get back data, but how exactly does that data come back? Usually, it's in the format of JSON, which is JavaScript object notation. Let me just. I did. Oh wow. Go me. That was correct. So, but essentially, what that looks like. Just post some images. It might look something like this. So, right? Can you all see that? Okay, cool. So, this could be like a typical API, return for in terms of JSON. So, where D, right? So you see it within this brackets, right? We have brackets that start all the way at the top. These brackets signify the start of this JSON object. So essentially what you're getting with JSON, JSON is an object, right? And then within that, there's subcategorized. How you navigate through that, we'll show you in a second. But yeah, you'll navigate, you see here, okay, so we have this object called D within this JSON, and it has an, let's see, a results array with it. Whenever you see like these brackets that are just similar to Python on how they have like brackets like that, that is a list. And it is coming with this list that includes the metadata, or yeah, it includes one object within this results, which anytime you could recognize an object, it's with the curly braces, right? So this is basically an array of objects where there is one object within it, which has three things in it. As y'all can see, there is metadata, user ID, and role code. And yeah, so that's like an example of JSON. Y'all might be wondering, okay, if there's JSON, is there any alternatives? Well, there is. One that's growing and is kind of getting more popular is something called, what is it called again? I literally work with it. GraphQL. GraphQL is an alternative, well, not an alternative to, well, I lied. Okay, so there's like, you get this JSON results, and actually no, yeah, so you get back to JSON, right? So some data can come back in the form of JSON, but there's also another way to get back information that's called, in the way of GraphQL, where it's different when, instead of, when, like I was mentioning before, you send one URL, right? And you get a certain amount of information. With GraphQL, you just put in one endpoint and you get all the information back, literally everything. So if you want to just use that, or you kind of get to specify more of what you want. So it's more of a more controlled way of getting information, and some people prefer it or not. It was created by Facebook, so that's what they use internally. And there's other companies that are growing to use like GraphQL and whatnot. So there's some alternatives, but most of the time, it's this type of way. Yeah, using the REST API way. But as we're let's look. So if we want to see, for instance, right? If we want to see API, okay. Okay, so they have, looking in this list, if we were just to look at anime, or clubs, what are clubs? Oh, okay. They have reviews, they have so many different things, but let's just see, I want to do characters. Get character anime. I want to try this out, this looks cool. So like I mentioned before, what they have in their documentation, 200 returns the result that you want, and 400 is a bad request. So if we want to get a specific ID, I don't know any IDs off the top of my head. I wish I knew. Let me see if I can get something that's maybe a bit easier. Characters, get character by ID. Maybe I'll get, let's see. Staff positions, ID. Okay, yeah, I think this will work just for now, since I don't know anything specific. We're gonna get a random anime, right? So, okay, if we wanna test this, right? If we wanna get our own results, what can we do? Well, typically, sending a URL, all that it takes is just putting it within your browser, and you can type it in, and you will see the related JSON data. So this is what we see here. The anime that we got was this. So, Oh, that's so true. That's a very good point. So Carlos brings up a very good point. So that if you are seeing jumbled data right now, like if you're seeing this, I totally forgot about that. Thank you so much. If you're seeing that, that's normal.
It is.
So what you can do, what is very convenient, if you're on Chrome, get this Chrome extension called JSON formatter.
Yeah, that's the extension you just get.
Mm-hmm. So if you look up
I mean,
JSON,
that's what it looks for the application.
yeah, literally, it's so convenient. So look that up, and you can download it for free, and it's perfect. It converts it for you, so you can read it, which is important, right? So thank you, Carlos. And so with that tool, it allows for you, if you still want to see the raw data, you can get it that way. Otherwise, the parsed way is, yeah, you could see it that way. So this is what we're seeing right now. You could see that it comes with, the actual anime, which if we click it on it, it gives us the actual page on my anime list, and gives you everything that they have with it, the title in English and Japanese, the duration. I guess I'm thinking this is a movie, or an anime movie. Yeah, it has ratings and yeah, it gives you all that sort of data back. But say that you actually had some parameters, right? Like sometimes you won't always have. It won't be nice like this, like just general. Might have something like you might have a couple of ways like let me show you all. We don't want to get random. We want to get anime. Okay. So see here that we have this link, which is HTTPS, all of this, and it includes something with ID there, right? So how would we work with that? Well, with that we could put in, let's say like one. Yeah. So you could work with the data that way, and then you could put in your own. Like numbers. You could test it. Like the first one in this one was Cowboy Bebop, which is cool. But if say you want to test out multiple times and make it convenient for you, there's a tool that you can use that is super convenient for API testing, and it's helpful when if you want to build your own API, which you can. This is a site that you can use. Maybe you've heard of it before, but it's called Postman. So it's free to sign up for, and it allows for you, and also there's a web version of it, and you could download it on your desktop as well. So that's loading. Oh, actually, I remember trying this earlier. Yeah. So if you click on the actual website, for some reason, that API, that URL is broken, just postman.com, which is funny, but if you want to just see it, that's fine. And I'm already logged in, so you can make an account for free and log in. And it's on web, and I have you can see I have the desktop app as well. It's purely to preference. And let's go ahead and let's do a sample test. So what we're gonna do, I'm going to okay, so I'm gonna go here, workspace. I'm just gonna create a new API here, and then I'm gonna make an HTTP request. There's so many things that you could do here. Whoops. Let's start. Yeah, let's do an HTTP request, and there we go. So look at this, super nice. So you could put your URL here, and say if you're doing like a put request or a post request. There's all of these, like delete, all of these. I mean, we only covered 2 of them. There's so many of them. But we're just going to do a GET request since that's the most popular. What we're going to do, we're going to do this. And then let's say let's just do one. Yeah. Okay. Cool. So I think that zoomed in a little bit. But you could see on the bottom there, the same result there. And sometimes what you would want to do is that you could have this as like ID. So you could have like ID, or wait, and ID. And this ID, you could set it to generate the same. Ooh, yeah, there we go. So you could actually set parameters in here. So you have multiple parameters. What this allows for you to do, you don't have to manually edit the URL when you put it into the browser. What you could do, you could just set parameters like this, like and of whatever ID this is. If you want to set it equal to 1, then it has a key value pair. So if you want to set this to whatever number you want, I don't know, 234. Send that. You'll get a result. It's not showing up well here, but yeah, you'll get a result. Yeah. Yeah. Does anyone have any questions so far? You could see it raw. See a preview. And if you also want to see, let me see. There's all sorts of cool things with it. If you dive into API, or if you're looking to get into backend development, this is like your best friend. So yeah. If no one has any questions before my computer dies, actually, I don't know why that's my computer. Like,
You said the charge is not working?
it's just not charging. Let me. I don't know. It might be with the socket.
I'll work for a little fewer.
Oh, I know why.
It's not plugged in?
Nah, I think I had to turn it on. But it's not lighting up. Let's see.
Now it will work.
Thought I saw it. Can y'all tell if it's?
I think it is.
Aha. We have a light.
Nice.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Let's dive into the remainder of this. I'm just gonna switch over here. I have some notes a little bit. Yeah. As you all get more into development and as you start building your own projects, I know Musa could tell you already that working with APIs very important and they're very convenient. Like there's all sorts of APIs out there, like what you had for the electric companies one. There's so many out there. So yeah.
And they're all free.
Yeah, like once you follow the pattern of working with of these, then yeah, you'll get the hang of them. Some are more painful to work with than others, but what are you gonna do? So yeah. Let me just put this down a little bit.
All APIs use a URL? Or
I'm sorry?
for all APIs, do they have to use a URL?
I believe, if it's a remote API, unless if you're in-house or something, then maybe you don't have to do that. But if it's remote, then I believe you would have to have a URL. I would have to check on that. I'm only saying that because I've only experienced with URLs, so I don't know. Excuse me. Yeah. Cool. Okay. I'm set up here. Let me just check the stream. See, what am I looking like? I am. Okay. Let's hope that that's focused more on me now. There we go. Okay, cool beans. Let's jump right into it. So we're gonna open up our Android Studio. Let me just do that here. Classic. So what we're gonna do, you would want to create a new project. So depending where you are, if you're already within, if say you already have another project open, you would do File, and New Project. And you would select, so we're gonna continue our Kotlin journey this time around. And also with Jetpack Compose. So unless you wanna manually port in all of the dependencies and everything that you need for Jetpack Compose, unless you wanna do that, you should pick the empty compose activity if you're creating a new Jetpack Compose application. So you could press that there, go next, and then select a name for your application, and that's pretty much all you need to do once all of these other items are okay. Also, can you all see, how is the text? Is it small, or what's it looking like?
Pretty good for now.
Good for now? Okay. If it's, I could expand it a little bit. Is that a little better?
I think it's the color, not the size.
Oh, the color?
Yeah.
Bro, why are you hating on my light mode, bro? I don't, I'm kidding.
On like contrast mode or something.
Contrast mode.
If it has, I'm not sure if it has.
I would have to see. Maybe I could choose. I mean, I could choose a different view of this. Let me see, preferences.
Yeah, okay.
Do you see it?
You see where it says theme? Intelligent light?
Yeah. Maybe let's
Contrast.
high contrast. Oh. Whoa. Okay. I'm so curious. What will this look like? Okay. Apply. Okay. Does that? No, we're not. No, that's not the vibe. Maybe let's settle for the middle. Let's do Darkula. Oh God, this looks. Actually no. That's I think. What do you guys think?
Can't
But-
really see.
Yeah, it's a little dark.
It's dark, so
Light is, well, it's the different.
I could turn off some of the lights if that might make it better. We did that with one of the workshops, and that worked. Let me just do that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
What do you all prefer, light or no light?
Yeah, this is good.
Good. I'll leave it at that. Just in case, people don't, the cleaners don't start coming in. I wonder if Colosseum's closed or not. Yeah, but I guess for now, we could leave it at dark mode. The old dark mode people winning for today. I'm usually the light mode when it comes to Android Studio, but we'll leave it as a compromise for today. But anyway, so let's start off with, this is our sample, our base Jetpack Compose project. So what we want to do is that we want to, okay, so we need to do the setup right now. So what we're going to use for Jetpack Compose and for Kotlin is something called retrofit. So there are multiple ways on how you can work with APIs for Kotlin and for Android Studio. One of the nicest libraries that's out there right now that was developed by Square is Retrofit. So, like it says here, it's a safe HTTP client, so you could do HTTP requests for Android and Java. Ignore that, it works for Kotlin too, but Kotlin is based off Java, so if you all want to access it, there's some information about it. But yeah, so what we are going to do, we need to set up. So we need to download the dependencies for Jetpack Compose. So what we'll do, Android, Kotlin. So let's look this up, and let's. So I don't know this off the top of my head. This is implementation stuff. So retrofit. Okay. So assuming, okay, fair enough. We're working with the internet. We're making API requests. So, like I mentioned, you're accessing something remotely using the internet. So you would have to enable the internet permission for your application. Let's go ahead and do that. So how you would do that, you would go into your project and you would open up your Android manifest under manifest. And there, typically on the top of your application, right underneath your package name, you can add this. That's, yeah, actually this could be like a slash. Yeah, there we go. So you'd want to make that, give that internet permission, like that. And so, yeah, first you do that, and then let's now look for the dependencies that we would add to our manifest. Also, if I'm going too fast or anything, just let me know. I could slow down, not a problem. But is everyone good so far? Good, Carlos? Cool. All right, let's continue. So now we'll add these dependencies here. So this one is the actual retrofit library. So we need to put that within our application. So we can find the latest on retrofit. Actually, yeah, okay. Let's see. So how we open this up, go into Gradle scripts, and there's two Gradles, as you would notice here, project and module. So if we're working, project is the overall project folder, which includes just more than your Android application, so that deals with some very we're not gonna work with that. We're gonna work more with our specific application, and you could see the dependencies or the libraries that you'll be using on the bottom. So we're gonna do it on here. In the bottom, we're gonna just put implementation here. And every time that you make a change and save, you will need to press the sync button on the top over here. So you have to make sure to do that, or else the libraries won't be synced with your Android Studio project. Oh God. Why are you screaming? Retrofit version. Okay, I think, let me see. Or project retrofit version. Let me see. I think for my notes, it should be, let's see. Let's try this again. Okay, cool. So if you're getting that issue, you could put in 2.9.0, and that should work for that. And we'll also need this. So, which is, okay, so if we look here, this is a retrofit converter from JSON. Okay, so what exactly is JSON? We just talked about JSON. What is JSON? All that it is that it converts. So we will be using Java or like Kotlin methods to be working with the JSON HTTP request, right? So what we'll do is that we'll be converting whatever code that we have from Kotlin or Java into JSON, depending whether we're sending a request of some sort or we're getting a request. That basically allows for us to manipulate the information directly. So we'll need that as well. And then the version should be 2.90 as well. Let's sync. Okay, cool. So that worked. And then the last one, let me see. We will also need to download one other thing. Okay, HTTP. So that we could actually work with the HTTP requests. Okay. Cool. So we'll also need to put that in as well. So if we go back to our dependencies, so what we added, and I'll put a space between them so you all could see, we put in these three, which were the retrofit, the JSON converter, which basically just converts JSON into Java and vice versa, and this OK HTTP, which allows for us to specifically work with HTTP requests. Does this make sense to everyone? Okay, awesome. So that should be all the dependencies that we need. Now, let's get into actually what we're going to be building. So what we're going to build, similar to last time, is a application that allows for us to view a list of movies. That's essentially what we're going to do today. Very, very simple. And I have a sample API that we can use and now we could start pulling from. So I have to look at this for a second. Give me a quick second here. Sample request, Postman. So this one, no, actually, okay. Actually, no, okay. Should be this thing here. There we go. So we have a sample API that we can pull from. Not super large, but it gets the job done. It's pretty simple. So, if we were looking at the raw data, this is what it would look like, but we're not, thankfully. So this is what we have. So we see that we have a list of some movies here. So Coco, Terminator 2, Lion, Star Wars, yada yada. So what we're going to do is we're going to use this one. Oh, I didn't mean to click on that. We're going to use this API to our advantage and show these lists of movies, including their image and whatnot, right? So let's take a first look at what we see here, right? So what we see is we see a couple of information that comes back. Category, an actual image, the name, and the description. And you see these for all of the movies. So each one of, so we could think about it like this. We have a list of movie objects, which comes in the form of JSON, and they have attributes that are associated with them, including category, image URL, name, and description. So therefore, if we want to display each of these movies, then what we'll need to do is that we'll need to create something in Kotlin called a data class. And a data class allows for us, it's similar to Java, essentially in the sense that it's basically, that's where you get all of your getters and all of your setters. I'm sorry?
Like an adapter?
Not necessarily. It's just like building like the object. So this is like, yeah.
Put the information?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. But for now, like just to set this up data-wise, we're just gonna set this up as like a movie or like just an object, which we will later use the equivalent of the recycler view in Jetpack Compose to show.
So what's the equivalent to the adapter?
The adapter, so there is a lazy column. That's what we'll use in Jetpack Compose. And it's, you don't have to set up the whole full adapter and all of that, and which is super nice. You'll actually see it very soon. Yeah. But yeah, and then, so first we'll need to, essentially what we're gonna do, we're first gonna get this object, get all the data, and then once we have like at least one of these objects, we can create the UI for it, and then in a list, duplicate this UI in a list. So you can see all of the list of movies. Does that sound good to everyone? Cool beans. All right. So let's continue. So we have this API here. And then so like I mentioned, let's go ahead and create our movie model, or basically the object. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna create a new class here, new, we're gonna create Kotlin. Let's call it model. Actually, what we can do, we're gonna call this as a data class. So what we're gonna do is that all that we had seen here, we're actually gonna use these. We're gonna use these to make something called a data class. And this, which is super nice about Kotlin, in Java, we would typically, if you have an object, say like a player, it has attributes like, or a person, right? Their name, their age. You would have to do getters and setters if you want to manipulate the information about that person, right? In Kotlin, all you have to do is write one line of code, and then automatically all of those getters and setters will come automatically with that. Literally, one line of code. And that's what we're going to do right now. So we see a couple things here. We see, we see a name. So let's do, so going back to Kotlin, right? So we see, name. This is how we instantiate a type thing, right? String. So we have the name. We have, let's say val, let's say this description. So description, which will be also our string. Actually, since it's DESC here, let's just do that. And then string, and then what else? Let me just put this on another line. Category, yes. So yeah, exactly. So val category. And what can you all predict will be the last one? Yeah, or it might be kind of hard to see. Let me just move on. Exactly, the image URL. So we'll do the same. Val image URL, which is also a string. Okay. That's it. We've created our object. Now that we have this object, let's now build up our actual API. I don't want to call it a thingamajig, but our actual API service. Yeah, there we go. Our actual API service to take in API requests. So what we'll go ahead and we'll do is that we will create our API service. So let's do that. Colin, yeah. Let's do that. Essentially, what we're going to do is that okay. Well, this is a class, but we're gonna make this an interface. And what we're gonna do, so essentially, we're gonna call retrofit here. Since we've already downloaded the dependencies of it, we can start using the methods and whatnot that is associated with it. So what we're going to do in this API service is that we're going to list out all the calls that we can possibly make for this application. And since what we're doing, right, we're going to grab a list of movies and show them on our application. What do you think, what kind of API call we will make to do that? Anyone have any takers? Anyone want to guess? A get. Exactly, Musa. A get request. So that's exactly what we're going to do. So we're going to do at get. There we go. And what we'll do is that. So this is here slash movie list.json. Okay. So right here, so we have this. So we have our link here, how to do android.com/API/movielist.json. So whatever the last endpoint that we want, that's not, whatever the endpoint is, that's not the same, common endpoint, right? Like google.com, right? That's like a common base URL, usually we call it, where all of the other requests build off of, like /images, /maps, all of this stuff. Google.com stays the same, it's base, right? The base URL. So what we're going to put here is the other part of the URL that changes, or the specific part of the URL that gets us the specific results that we want. So we see here, there's other APIs at this URL, right? At howtoandroid.com/APIs. So this is the base URL. So what we're going to do here is that we're going to call this specific part of the URL here and go into movie list. I think it was .json. There we go. Yeah, movie list.json. Movie list.json. And right here, we're going to call a function, right? So I'm going to write something here that's not going to look super familiar. You don't have to worry too much about it, but we're going to create something here called a suspend function, or suspend function, which all that means is that that's a function that works asynchronously. And what that means is that that method will call on its own. When that method is called, it will call on its own to get like the information so that it updates. So it's not like a method that calls once necessarily. It will keep calling over and over. And that's part of a huge Kotlin concept called coroutines, which something I will not get into right now. But all you need to know, I mean, it's not something we have to really worry about, but it's just a type of function that allows for us to work with APIs, essentially, right? So we're going to do that.
It's going to be constantly calling because it'll get the API.
Yeah, exactly. It'll do it for us. So what we're going to do, we're going to create a method called getMovies. And yeah, that'll allow for us to just grab all of the movies at our list, right? So we're going to do this. And we will want a list of all of those movies. So we're going to do exactly that. That movie. Did I make that correct, right? Data class. No, that was supposed to be movie. Yeah, I don't know why I made it like that. Let me just redo that. My apologies. Model. Actually, no, I did do that correct, I think, because you could just call it that way, but then you call. Yeah, okay. So I made that data class of the movie object. okay? Because that's how we're visualizing it. These are movies. And then here, we're building our API service of the type of a movie. And so what this will return us is a list of all the movies. Does that make sense to everyone? Cool. So then what we'll do here, retrofit builder, API service. Okay. So what we're going to do here, and just for a matter of time, I'm not going to type it all out, but I'll explain I'll explain what it's doing. So give me a quick second here. Yeah, let me see here. Okay. Yeah. So what we're gonna do here, this is building the actual API service here more as well. So we define a function, right, that allows for us that we can use for this API. But we also need to do some little back work too and make this API caller in the first place. So which we're going to place here. And we're going to, I'm doing option return for those of you that are on Mac. It will probably be something else, but that allows for you to, if you click on something, it allows for you to just automatically get the import. You could also right click on it, click on right. Yeah, okay, Alt Enter for Windows. Thank you, Carlos. So Alt Enter that. And yeah, there you go. So let me open this bigger. We don't need that last page anymore, but yeah, oh, then that's an extra. There we go. So just to explain very quickly, this var here is creating an API service, it's instantiating an API service object. And this is allowing for it, okay, this could possibly be null. Then this is making a function, if the API is null already, then we'll build our API service, which comes with a couple of parts, just 3 parts. One is the base URL, like I had mentioned. This is what we're building off of that. So it's essentially when we make this API call, it will attach this part of the URL in front of it, and then it will do the / movie list.json to get that information at that specific URL. Then here, this .add converter factory. So I don't know if you all remember, but we added a dependency, something called JSON, which all that does, converts Java / Kotlin into REST API called, I'm not remembering the name. JSON, what the hell? You get brain farts in the weirdest moments. Converting Java into JSON and vice versa, or Kotlin, all the same. So yeah, that allows for you, that instantiates that. And then, so this, and then this is .build, so that's just, okay. So .build is saying like, okay, make this object because this is an object. And here .create, just part of the, the part that we have to just create that allows for us to instantiate this API service, which is part of this here. Does this make sense to everyone? More or less. Or does anyone have any questions? If no one has any questions, I'll keep moving, but please stop me if you do. And then this is returning the actual API service at the end that allows for you to use.
What's the exclamation marks?
That just asserts that it won't be null. So like, it's usually it's like a danger kind of thing. Dangerous thing to do unless you're 100% sure that like it won't be null. So yeah, so now that we have that, what we're going to do is that we're going to set up all of the we're going to set up the way for us to actually work with the getting the movies. So what we're going to do is that we're going to create something called a, okay, so now we're actually getting into architecture now of Android Studio. And I think it would be helpful before I really get into this. Oh, Google Hangouts, nice. I don't want to open you. And also let me just open up a new window. I hope this plays. But there is a type of architecture within Android Studio, or that you use. Well, it's just a pattern that you could use in other places as well. But it's very common in Android. It's called MVVM, which stands for Model, View Model, and Model View, and then View Model. And then we're going to be using a part of it today, just the View Model. It's not going to be something crazy. I'm going to play a quick video that kind of explains it, and yeah, hopefully. Actually, I think what I can do, let me switch this to the desktop. So just give me 1 second. You see the screen, right? Okay, cool. So MVVM. Yeah. Hopefully y'all can hear this. Oh, nice ad. We'll let that play. Yeah.
Income today.
Okay.
To develop. The bigger our software gets.
Okay. So this is from a YouTuber I love. It's one of my favorite Android YouTubers. His name is Philip Lackner. Highly recommend his channel. He has also the latest stuff when it comes to Java Compose and Kotlin. Super good. There's also there are a few other channels which, if you're interested, I can give recommendations. But anyway, he explains it pretty well in a couple seconds. So let's just take a quick look at that.
The bigger our software gets, the harder it is actually to keep the overview. And therefore, it is crucial that we give our projects a good structure, which usually means a separation of concerns. We want to separate the UI, the business logic, and the data source so that we and our colleagues can easily and quickly understand the software, that we can easily extend it with more features, and that we can easily test it. That's where architectural design patterns come into play. When it comes to Android apps, MVVM is the most popular one. It stands for Model, View, View Model. Let's take a look at this recipe app. The model represents the data source, which is often represented by a repository that just collects all data in one central place. That can be data from a database, data from a remote API, or just data from both.
So we're going to use, that's what we just made.
The view model contains the business logic. Business logic is just the real program logic that isn't just updating an UI element. So for example, filtering a list or validating user input. The view model is in direct communication with the model to get access to the data it needs. Lastly, the view is the visible part of the app,
which we'll build later.
It contains all UI elements and gets events from the view model when it should update its views. Important is that the view shouldn't contain any business logic. It should only contain logic to directly manipulate views. Together, this is a powerful pattern that makes your software scalable, easily understandable, and testable.
Yeah, so that's a very quick introduction on that. But essentially, so right now, without even knowing it, we have been characterizing our application into three parts: the model, view model, and the view. So what we just made is the model. It allows for us, as Philip said, it allows for us to take whatever requests, like say we're working with a database or say we're working with an API. It allows for us to manipulate, that's just where our data is coming in. That we have something called a view model, which is just, if you imagine all of the functions that you normally have in a Java project, right? The business logic essentially. That's where that comes into play, in the view model. And that is the bridge to the view, which is our pure Jetpack Compose, which is our UI and allows for us to, the users to interact with the data that is that is coming from the model. So that's why MVVM, yeah. So like you said, yeah. I was trying to show, yeah. So it's essentially you have your database here, or you have like the remote API, and then you have all the functions. So we're gonna parse through the data here that we're getting in, and then we're gonna show that here using Jetpack Compose. Does that make sense? Right. Cool. So what we made before was the model. Now we're going to make the view model, which will give us some business logic to interact with the API, right? So, oh, it already, okay, cool. So, yeah. Okay, no problem. Well, thank you for joining us, and yeah, hope to see you around. But yeah, I promise, we shouldn't be. What happened?
You post in Discord, I know.
Yeah, it'll post on Discord. Yeah, so you'll be able to see it. All right, Alec, take it easy, man. Yeah. But yeah, so what we're gonna do is that we are going to make we're gonna make a class here. So we're gonna call this, actually, can we make a view model? Okay, no, it's fine. Oh, I could have just made a data class there. Huh, the more you know. View model. And then, okay. So this is going to be of type view model. So yeah, and view model is something built into Kotlin. So you could just import it that way. And then what we're going to do is first, so we're going to use this to interact with our data, right? So what we're going to do is we need to get that list of movies, right? So we're going to make that list. So we're going to do this. We're going to do var movie. And declare the type to be a list of movies. And list of movie must be initialized. Okay, and then what we're gonna do, we're gonna initialize it with a state, which we covered a little bit last time. Mutable by, or yeah, we're gonna be a little bit of stuff. Actually, no, we're not doing that yet. List of mutable list of value. And then extension function. Don't think we need to do that. Can I undo? Okay. Oh God. What? What just happened? Okay. Let's forget about that for now. Yeah, we'll come back to that. Oh wait, list. Var movie list response, list movie by mutable list of. Anyway, we'll get back to that. So what we're going to do is we're going to delete this and the other one. So I'm part of our class. And then we're going to do fun at movie list. So this will be our function that we'll get, and then we'll store the response in the response list. So we'll declare a class function that way. And then some boilerplate code here, but let me just write out, and then I'll explain. Dot launch. Okay, so right here, this is working essentially with the view model code for us to, use this function so that we can access the data. So then we're going to call this method to get an instance of the API service. I'll get instance, and then that might have been it. I'll figure out what mutable. Oh, what was I? I think because I was trying to get state. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I got confused for a second. Okay. I don't know why. Yeah. There we go. Wait. Maybe. Yeah, it might be that. No, wait. Actually, I shouldn't have put anything. Oh, there we go. Okay, now I was thinking. Okay, yeah, because why would you need a string, right? So yeah, let's quickly get through this. Okay, so we have our API service. Now we're going to do a try-catch block. So we're going to have two cases. One, if we get the information that we want, which will result in the 200, or not, which will result in the 400. Try, and then I like to just do catch. An exception. Well, this will be. Okay. Okay, so for our try, we're going to try to get a. Well, actually, we don't even have to do all that. I was going to make a separate list. What we could do is movie list response equals from the API service, so get movies, just calling that. And then otherwise, what we'll do is println error. Okay. So what we did here, we did a try. We're going to try to get the response for the, so we're basically connecting the data source right there. Excuse me, with the movie list. By setting it equal, otherwise we print out that there's an error. And then now, so the data is, we can use it now. And then to save everyone some time, I'm gonna just, I will just copy paste the UI for now, just so that we got the point that of the APIs, right? But I have to do implement one thing. So let me open here. Okay, so yeah, that's fine. So right here, what we're gonna do, and explaining as I go. So, like I mentioned before, there's something called a recycler view, right? But that's for Java, and there's a bunch of classes that come with it. But thankfully, for Jetpack Compose, there's a much easier way to show a list of items in a list, and that is using a column. Specifically a lazy column. That's the version. So typically you have columns if you want to structure. If you all remember the last episode, you structure what a column is. You basically put it elements go inside that column. And if a row, you put things inside that row, it does it horizontally. So it places things vertically, but as you can see here, a lazy column, what that will do instead of just a normal column is that it is optimized for large amounts of data, and it's optimized for specifically to replace the recycler view. So there's more information over here if you want to check it out, which is from the official documentation from Android. But yeah, so we'll implement that. And well, we're also going to be working with images. Sometimes that gets kind of complicated, and it doesn't work out the way how we want to. So to make it simpler for us, and so that we could use actually API images, convert it, and use it in our own application, we're going to use a library called Coil, which is, it's an online library that allows for you to basically do what I just said. You just convert, you can grab images and place them in your application. So we'll have to place that as well as a dependency. So let's go ahead and we'll place that in our application. WhatsApp, get out of here. Okay. Here. So we're placing this in this middle section here. So now we have 4 dependencies that we implemented: retrofit, JSON, OK HTTP for us to do HTTP requests, and Coil, which is, you see that there's a marking here for Compose, which means it's specifically for Jetpack Compose. So what we're going to do now is, to just save everyone some time, what we're going to do is we're going to just, you see that this is huge. I would do this all on my own, but I will go through it. It's legal, right? Yeah. It's legal. It's online, So we're going to go into our main activity, and we're going to forget about these classes. We're going to forget about these. And we're going to put this code here, movie item. Okay, so I know what's happening. It's just the level of the indentations. Main activity. So what is that? That's just the onCreate. Okay, so we just move this one. There we go. Yeah, and then we no longer have a greeting. So now we need to mask like crazy. Just import all of these. Import DP. Yeah. Import height. This is gonna take like a minute. And don't worry, I will explain this as well. Import the system image. Should just be that. Okay, is it not that? It was that one. Okay. So it was the last one for those of you importing with me.
You might have missed something up there, but I don't know if you imported it.
Rounded corner shape. You're right. Yeah. Thank you. Good catch. So see, sometimes porting in different code. Okay, so we're going to use the Coil library because we're working with the image right now. And so these will all be, I don't have a placeholder. I might have to add that. I wish there was a button. I mean, maybe there is. If you do know, let me know. But I wish there was a button you could just import everything. That would be super convenient. Okay, it's not that one. Compose UI graphics. Yeah. Silverflow. Alrighty. We're just missing the actual image, but we'll get to that. So anyway, just to explain, so we left our onCreate alone, and we basically built, well, what's here is that we have the movie item, the item that will be reproduced within the list. So it has a couple things associated with it. Actually, we could, if we want to see what this looks like, we could do an app preview.
Could you even lift the error of the placeholder?
What happened?
You still got the placeholder error.
Yeah, I would actually. Oh, true. I will need to put in a placeholder. Okay. Well, we could fix that. Let me see. We could place in an image. Let's see. Hopefully, I have nothing questionable here.
You've already shown your messaging apps.
True.
Both Hangouts and WhatsApp.
Oh God. Yeah. So I've already compromised myself multiple times in this stream. Please don't hack me. I guess why not? Close. It's just an X. Yeah, just for the purpose that we have. Yeah. Okay. So we could put. Okay. So we should be able to do that preview. So background equals true. What? Ah. It has a parameter. That's why. Actually, what I could do at composable. Fun. Help. Put a surface. And then you show the movie. I don't have a movie item, so okay, we can't preview this for now. That was a whatever. But it should look something like this. So they imported this image of their own, and if I had a movie object directly on me, but you get you should look like this. Like you have the title, you got the latest, and the actual description of it. Should look something like that. And then what we'll do is that we'll go ahead and we'll so we have an item. Now let's go ahead and we'll create the UI using the lazy column, which basically serves as our recycler view, to multiply that. And we'll place that. Okay. See where that ends. Cool. Okay. So, like I mentioned, this will take everything in the movie list. And for those of you who have had to work with recycler views before, this is way less this is all it is. You don't have to make multiple files, as Musa, with adapters and whatnot. This is way better. I know, because I had you could do previews instantly, super simple, without parameters. So this has a parameter of a movie list, and if I had the movie list on me already, then we could have done the preview. But typically, you could just, what you could also do, you can call a different composable, right? That just calls that composable, because you can call composables with inside of composables. Things are reusable. And for those of you on the call, composable just means composable function, just a place that just uses the composable annotation that allows for you to do UI. But yeah, if you were to just make one without it, without parameters and just call that one, you can. But then you still need to place that parameter you need to have it made already, but we're getting it straight from the API, so I don't have it made already. So feels bad. But yeah, and then what it does, it takes for every item in the list, it will create that movie item, which it takes in, so it shows like it has an index, and then it says like, okay, so there will be an item for every, okay, so the items that will go into this movie list or to this column, this recycler view, will be this list. And then we'll take an item, and that will equal the movie that is referenced within the movie item, which we had made earlier. So now if you were to put it together, it should look something like this, right? That's something if we want to select it, which I'm not interested in those at the moment, to be honest. But yeah, actually, I could do that, but not the purpose. And movie item, background color. Okay. Yeah, so we have all of that. Now movie list. So now what we need to do, it's called and we get that movie list if we were to call, as far as I remember, we were to call let me see. If we were to, okay, so we have our surface here, and which has the UI. Then if we call the movie list, so we want to show this list, right, from our UI. Now we need to connect the view model with it. So which all that is just calling the class main view model, which we have to make an object for it. It all looks confusing, but so similar to how you would make a variable before instantiating it in onCreate, we did that here. So we make a view, main view model. I had called it main view model before. By model. And that's just that gets you all of the view models that are associated with this one. So if you want to say like, okay, this variable has these classes associated with it, so you can grab the methods from it. That's how you would do it, right? Do that, and we only have one, so you put that one in, and then we could just use that, whatever methods it has associated with it, right? Main view model dot movie list response, and then what we're going to do, we're going to call the method for it to get the response. And that should be it. So what we did here, we're setting the UI for the view model to get the response, of which if we click into it, is this here. Setting the list for it, and then we're calling the method to set that list with the information from the API, which is connected to our model. I'm remembering MVVM. That's like that's this whole architecture, and actually now in many companies and whatnot where they're doing Android development, super important to know this architectural concept. So I'm glad we're getting to discuss it here now. And you'll see it more as you look up more YouTube videos and you do your own research into Kotlin. But without further ado, let's test it out. Let's see, hopefully this app doesn't crash out on us, and that we have something working, and that we could see the list. Don't worry about that. That's that's proprietary information. Okay, that's something I'm doing for somewhere else. Let me see. Everything looks super weird on here because of how I'm connected with the VGA. That the phone looks bigger. I want to try to shrink it. Oh, I think I could do it actually. Yeah, there we go. Better. I'm not able to do more than that though, but it'll take a couple of minutes. But yeah, that's basically the gist of it. Anyone have any questions? Cool. I hope you all learned something from it. And actually, let me check the. Okay, the launch succeeded, and like we had built, it was built. So, and that, yeah, so we see the list. If I had wanted to make the UI to select on it, select on a certain movie, I could have. And then with that click, you create the on-click method. It could take you, you could do way more with that. You could, open up like a totally different UI and change the page and whatnot using an intent. But that's for another day. So to recap, we learned today what APIs are. We saw how we can analyze them using Postman and how, using the official GitHub list, and getting a list of APIs. And we learned a little bit on how retrofit works and showed how you can implement it on your very own application. So yes, thank you to those of you that came in person. I love you guys. Appreciate, y'all coming out. And for those of you that stuck with us online, you're all true troopers. Appreciate you guys as well. And I hope everyone has a good night. And that's the end of the workshop. Unless if anyone has any questions.